you, first of all, at site 1, which is called Helweck Beck, so that's worthwhile noting down. You can note it down on this paper if you want, or if you've got spare paper underneath. I'm just going to make some initial qualitative primary data observations. So what can you see? What are the characteristics of the river at this point? Good. Anything you like. Jess, what do you reckon?
Rocks.
Rocks, yeah. What can you tell us about the rocks? Large, small, round, smooth? What do you think?
Kind of medium.
Medium size. You're going to measure the size of the rocks. I would say they are large, I would say. Not many are sticking out right at this section, but I'm kind of looking up and there's some humongous rocks up there. So I would say large, bed load.
Shallow water.
Shallow, yeah, it looks like it. You're going to measure that as well, but it looks like the depth is pretty shallow. Narrow, yeah, not very wide. So you're expecting it to get deeper and wider as you move downstream, because we're measuring the river's width.
Fairly fast moving.
It looks fast moving, okay, so we're measuring velocity. It can be quite deceiving, looking at where the water's running over rocks. It sounds fast, it sounds like a rapid, but that's actually quite a lot of maybe wasted energy, isn't it? That the water is going over all those rocks, it's making noise, energy, and there's a lot of friction there. Good thing to look for is these little bubbles, these little white frothy bubbles. So then, I wouldn't say in the line of fastest flow, some of them you can see maybe where the Helweck is, but it's quite slow on this bank, and some of those bubbles there aren't really moving at all. So velocity looks fast, but maybe when we measure it, it won't be quite as fast as it looks. Coming back to the rocks, the shape of them, should we get a rock? Quite a big rock. Shape-wise? Flat, yeah, it's like a slab of sort of patio, isn't it? What about the edges?
Angular.
What do you think?
Angular.
Angular, good word, yeah, so they've got lots of angles to them, yeah, very angular, bed load. Not yet had time to be what? Eroded, yeah, it's not had time to become eroded by attrition. Brilliant, well done. So there's not a lot of velocity here at the moment, not enough to actually seriously make most of the rocks nice and rounded. That will take time as the river carries and transports sediment or the rocks themselves down the water, down the channel. Anything else? Any other observations? We could go with land use too. So with things that we've said up the top.
V-shaped valley.
V-shaped valley, so we're in a V-shaped valley. The river channel itself, is it, in terms of its course, I know you can't see it probably from where you sat, but you came over the bridge, you might have a little look up and down. Is it meandering?
No.
It's straight, so I would argue it's a straight course. That gives you an indication of where the erosion is happening. What do you think? If the river's flowing straight, vertical erosion, well done. So we've got vertical erosion cutting down into this valley, yeah. Lateral erosion would be on the sides of the banks and you'd be getting your meanders. So here it very much indicates vertical erosion. The colour of the water, murky, isn't it? What does that indicate? Go for it. Yeah, it's collected, some kind of suspended load maybe, but it's fairly brown in colour, and it could have come from the stones, I would agree, yeah, so it's probably the sands from the sandstones and the limestones that we've got as the basic geology up here. Those little, the bedrock, the geology, as it starts to erode, will be carried in suspension, so we end up with maybe a murky looking water. The other things, the froth I used to call it, the white flecks, yeah? Ever thrown stones at a big lump of froth with your dad trying to dislodge it? No? Anyway, the froth, any thoughts? What is that? It's that white stuff. Thought we're in the national park, it can't be pollution, can it? What do you reckon? this time of year there's a lot of stuff that's falling into the river and not water. What's coming down right now as we speak. The leaves, yeah. So these leaves are starting to decompose and rot, and all the compounds in the leaves are being dissolved into the water. And it's thought that a lot of the organic material, a lot of the decaying plant material causes this frothiness to appear. Also could be farm chemicals or fertilisers or other pollutants in the water, but as we're in the national park, only about a kilometre or so from the source, it's likely to be organic material that's in the water. But when you mix it up, or when it runs over the rocks, it starts to create this froth, this foam that you get in the water. What would you expect that to happen as you go downstream? More froth, less froth? Maybe less. Why less? It's going to disappear. Perhaps. If this is flowing through woodlands and other landscapes with other... Yeah, it might increase, mightn't it? So that as well as the load might increase with extra water coming in, maybe bringing with it extra materials that dissolve in the water. So there could be an extra load. Finally, the land use. I would make a note that on this side of the channel, it's Woodland Trust. You may have seen the sign as you came through. At the top, where we have to go over the stile. So this is Woodland Trust, all these old oak trees. And on this side, it's actually it's called Bilingdale. So it's a Ministry of Defence own a lot of this land here, but they lease it to the Hawk and Owl Trust. So it's another charity that's trying to conserve birds of prey up here. So that's what's going on. A lot of conservation in this area that we're at.